Salutations Travelers, I make you a Master Yelan in 5 minutes. And I have a very special pun I promise you never heard before for you at the end. Don't miss it. So let's dive right in. First, who is Yelan?
What kind of person do you want me to be to you? I can either play that part or become that person.
What is she good at? Incredible off-field damage. Her burst deals lazy cross damage from off-field with high damage and duration. Mobility. Her skill gives you torrential speed on a relatively short cooldown. What is she bad at? Sub DPS only. She runs out of steam on the field. If you want a main DPS, look elsewhere. Unflexible. She needs to support a normal attacker. That's it. No heals, no shields or special utility. She brings damage, a boatload of it, but her burst only works on normal attacks. What about stats? Crit is still king. Do note that her Ascension stat will give you 19% crit rate at level 90. Go with Hydro for Goblet. Yes, it is better than HP in almost every scenario. You also want about 200% ER or 150 with a battery, so pick HP or ER Sen depending on your needs. And finally, instead of scaling on attack, she scales purely on HP, so get as much as you can along with crit after reaching your chosen ER threshold. Sets. Emblem of Severed Fate is by far the best for her. She needs that ER and this boosts the most important part of her kit further. If you run some weird full Hydro team that doesn't need ER, she can be your noblesse carrier. She does not benefit from attack, but you will probably switch to someone who will after using her burst. And lastly, if you want to cheap out, you can always patchwork 2-piece sets from your bag, looking for HP, Hydro or ER. Weapons. For weapons, keep in mind that base attack does not matter for Yelan, so focus on secondary stat and passive to decide depending on your needs. Free to play. The 2.7 event weapon works swimmingly on her. You need ER and the damage increase works on her burst. Favonius Warbow is probably your best free-to-play and 4-star option, giving her a ton of energy, some extra team utility and making her easier to build. If you're good in ER and need more damage instead, Sharpshooter and Slingshot give a lot of crit, and Recurve competes with high HP. Those are some of the best weapons for Yelan, despite being 3-star. Which one is the best will depend on your team and artifacts, so you'll have to figure that one for yourself. But overall, you should look to balance out your stats, so don't go overboard in one, and instead pick what you have a list of. If you are curious about 3-star sometimes being your best weapon option, check my previous guide for more explanation and examples. And check the one before that if you're new and wonder where to get your free Favonius and other free-to-play weapons. Crafted and shop. This is a wash. There's really nothing good here for Yelan currently. Sharpshooter beats Blackcliff and Slingshot beats Viridescent. Gacha 4-star. Stringless is strong but hard to build around. Still, it is a solid option for her personal damage. Sacrificial is very good, a splash behind Favonius in energy value but with a sprinkle more damage with the reset. Gacha 5-star, obviously, her signature weapon, Aqua Simulacra, is her best weapon, providing almost 90% crit damage, HP and a damage increase. However, Elegy for the end, while not providing as much direct damage, does provide 55% ER and a very strong buff for the entire team, making it very competitive depending on team comp. And finally, Skyward Harp and Polar Star can make decent offensive statistics, especially at higher refine. Talents: normal attack, stealthy bowshot. Yelan's basic attack are mediocre and scale on attack which you do not want to build. This talent does, however, harbor a special mechanic called Breakthrough. After 5 seconds out of combat, you get a near instant AoE charge attack dealing decent damage based on HP. You should try to use it often. It won't turn the tides of battle, but it is quick free AoE damage and Hydro application. Special tip for you, Yelan's bracelet glows bright blue when a Breakthrough barb is ready. Skill: Lingering Lifeline, HP scaling, dash with a tap or sprint with a hold, tagging any enemy you touch with a lifeline, doing anything other than running or standing will end the skill and detonate all lifelines. Each detonation gives you a 34% chance to reset your breakthrough, so pay attention to that bracelet. Burst Depth Clarion Dice, the star of the show, scales on HP, 15 second duration, 18 second cooldown, 70 energy cost. You want this up at all times, hence the importance of energy recharge. Casting your burst does moderate damage around you and summons a floating dice that follows your arm and fires water arrows at enemies hit by your lifeline detonations or when you normal attack them. The dice will persist on character swap like Xingqiu or Xiangling's burst, so just cast burst, swap to your normal attack carry and let loose. Notable passive, Adapt with Ease. When you cast your burst, you gain a stacking buff granting up to 50% increased damage for your active character over the duration of the burst. So you should try to line your active character's burst toward the end of the dice duration to benefit from high stacks from this passive. Notable Constellations C1 gives you a built-in sacrificial bow by granting you a second charge of her skill, slightly altering her gameplay and increasing damage and particle generation. C2 grants your burst an extra row for a considerable increase in damage and hydro application. This all boils down to gameplay. You can choose to use or ignore the breakthrough barb mechanic. It is nice but can be a bit unintuitive to the flow of battle. If you choose to use it, remember that Yelan's bracelet will glow when a barb is ready. While tapping her skill is faster, there is no penalty to using the hold version. You will not incur a longer cooldown, so make sure to take advantage of her incredible mobility by using her hold skill to navigate the battlefield. Her burst only works on normal attacks, but it is insanely potent. It deals incredible damage and applies a flood of hydro, allowing for very powerful high-frequency reactions. Do note that if you have Raiden, it does work with her burst. Now before you storm out, please allow me one last pun. What did the ancient Egyptians call the writer that could work underwater? Subscribe.